Dear students, welcome to Commissionerate of Collegiate Education Learning Management System. In this video presentation, I am going to explain you the topic Levels of Biodiversity. This topic comes under life skill course, that is Environmental Education. Myself Vinni Teja, lecturer in chemistry, SKR and SKR, Government College for Women, Autonomous, Kadapa. These are the contents I am going to discuss with you. First, learning outcomes, and then different types of biodiversity. At the end of this presentation, you will be able to understand the importance of biodiversity and gain knowledge on different levels of biodiversity. And you can examine the variety of life on Earth. You can realize the role of each species and its importance in sustaining the biodiversity in the ecosystem. You can explore the complexity of biodiversity. So, let us try to understand the different types or levels of biodiversity. We are living on planet Earth, which is a home of various life forms. Estimates on the number of Earth's current species range from 2 million to 1 trillion, of which about 1.74 million species have been databased so far, and over 80% have not yet been described. The concise definition of biodiversity used by biologists is totality of genes, species, and ecosystems of a region. Different types of biodiversities help in maintaining the balance of nature. Therefore, biodiversity and its proper maintenance is vital for the sustainable life in this planet. There are three essential levels of biodiversity, which include genetic biodiversity, species biodiversity, and ecosystem biodiversity. Genetic biodiversity include variety of genetic makeup within a species. Species biodiversity is the variety of species in a specific region. And the ecosystem biodiversity is the variety of habitats, ecosystems, and communities. Let us discuss these three levels of biodiversities one after the other. Coming to the first level of biodiversity, that is genetic diversity, it is denoted by the phrase the diversity within species. It is the genetic difference within living organisms, that is, the genetic variations among the populations of single species and those among the individuals within a population. Each individual of a particular species differs from others in their genetic composition. Hence, we humans belong to same species look differ from one another except in case of twins. Also, there are different varieties in the same species of dogs, frogs, fishes, birds, rice, potatoes, etc. Here you can see the diversity within the species. There are different varieties of frogs, different varieties of maize, different varieties of rice, potato, etc. The reason for this variability within the species is because of gene. Genes are the primary units of hereditary information transmitted from one generation to the other. They either individually or in group constitute a countless process in every living organism. They also contribute many different characteristics to an organism, such as its physical appearance, its ability to prevent attack from other organisms, or survive drought. For example, a person might have a gene for brown eyes or dark hair. A butterfly might have a gene for wing color or chemical scent that helps it to find a mate. One important feature of genetic biodiversity is that it permits species to adapt over time to environmental pressures they face. The loss of individuals and populations through habitat destruction narrows the gene pool of a species, sometimes called genetic erosion, and it restricts its adaptational or evolutionary options. Therefore, genetic diversity increases the chances for a species survival. For example, assume there are two aquariums with different species. In the first box of aquarium, there is high genetic diversity, and in the second box of aquarium, there is low genetic diversity. The most effective way to counteract loss of biodiversity is to preserve large and well-connected populations, as seen in the first aquarium box. Small and isolated populations will progressively lose genetic variation, resulting in lower adaptive capacity, weak potential for long-term survival, and loss of resilience. Second type of biodiversity is species biodiversity. It refers to the variety of species within a geographical area. It is the most basic level of biodiversity that includes wide range of species on Earth, from microorganisms to multicellular plants and animals. A species represents a group of organisms which has evolved distinct inheritable features that occupies a unique habitat. More specifically, species is one of the levels used by taxonomists to describe the hierarchy of life forms on planet. Here you can see one variety of animal species and one plant species with its classification. The descending order of ranking includes first kingdom, next division in case of botany, or phylum in case of zoology. Next comes class, next comes order, then family, then genus, and then species. Species comes below the level of genus. The species diversity is measured in terms of species richness and species evenness. Species richness is the number of species living in a habitat or in a given area. Species evenness is based on relative abundance and is defined as the number of individuals in a species relative to the total number of individuals in all species within a group. Two regions with same richness do not necessarily have same species evenness. For example, we have two communities with three different tree species, and thus the species richness is 3. In community 1, there is a dominant species. This tree species is the dominant species and there are 6 individuals are there. And in community 2, there are 3 trees of equal abundance. Look, this species number is 3 and this type of species also the number is 3 and this type of species is also 3 in number. Even though in community 1, one species is dominant, in community 2, since the abundance is equal, there is greater species evenness and greater overall species diversity in community 2. This condition is called species evenness. Some areas are richer in species than the other. Tropical and subtropical regions are rich in biodiversity than polar region of the earth. Areas with more species diversity are usually referred as hotspots of biodiversity. There are currently 36 recognized biodiversity hotspots in the world. Healthy ecosystems are rich in species diversity, and every species plays a particular role in ecosystem function. Thus, species as well as ecosystem diversities are significant in maintaining the ecosystem services. The third level of biodiversity is ecosystem diversity. Ecological diversity or ecosystem diversity includes variations among the species present in local ecosystems and the interactions within these levels. An ecosystem comprises of organisms of several species living in a region and their connections through food chain, flow of energy, nutrients, and the matter. Thus, an ecosystem is an interacting system of both biotic and abiotic components which together form a functional unit. Plants, animals, and microorganisms include biotic components of ecosystem, while sunlight, nutrients, minerals, air, and water are the abiotic components of the ecosystem. Each species in the ecosystem plays a particular role in its community. Loss of single species can have a consequence to the entire community to a great extent. The ecosystems may be small and ephemeral. For example, pond or puddle, etc. And the ecosystems may be large and long-lived like forests and ocean. Ecosystem diversity is also known as community diversity, which refers to the variety of habitats and ecosystem processes extending over a particular region. It includes different ecosystems like deserts, forests, lakes, oceans, mangroves, etc. The diversity of various species in a region is typically measured in three different perspectives. They include alpha diversity, beta diversity, and gamma diversity. Let us try to understand these three diversities one after the other. Coming to the alpha diversity, it is the measure of species richness in an ecosystem or local habitat. We know that species richness is nothing but total number of different species in single ecosystem. For example, here we have two different habitats. Habitat 1 is having different species include ladybug, frog, a turtle, and a fish of two different types, a blue fish and a brown fish and a lotus, etc. So if you count the number of species here in the ecosystem 1, there are 3 fishes and 2 ladybugs and 2 frogs, 1 blue fish type like dolphin, and then 1 lotus and 1 turtle. So even though there are 3 species of fishes, we have to count it as a single species. Hence, in habitat 1, there are 6 different species. Hence, the alpha diversity of habitat 1 is 6. The second habitat is also having certain animals. They include a frog, sheep, a cow, butterflies, trees, uh, ducks, flowers like lotus, etc. So if we count the number of butterflies in habitat 2, there are 4 butterflies and 1 cow one sheep, one frog, two ducks, one tree, and one lotus. So we should not count the four butterflies to define the alpha diversity. So as I told earlier, even though there are higher in number, they belong to the same species. Hence, this is one species. Like that, in habitat 2, there are 7 different species are there. Hence, the alpha diversity of the habitat 2 is 7. Let us try to understand the alpha diversity by taking another example. See, in the ecosystem 1, we have different animals. So, one zebra, one snake, one lion, elephant, peacock, monkey, and a crow. All these animals are different. Hence, if we count the species, there are total 7 species are there. Hence, in ecosystem 1, alpha diversity is 7. Coming to the second ecosystem, so there are 8 different species. Hence, the alpha diversity is 8. And in the third ecosystem, there are 7 different species. Hence, the alpha diversity is 7. So, like that, alpha diversity is nothing but number of different species in a local ecosystem or local habitat. That gives the alpha diversity. Coming to beta diversity, it is the comparison of diversities among the ecosystems, usually measured as number of species change between the ecosystems. In simple words, it is the measure of species richness between two distinct ecosystems, usually separated by a geographical barrier such as river or mountain. Beta diversity determines a quantitative measure of ecosystem diversities that experience the environmental changes. It can be measured between any two of the ecosystems. For example, we have 3 ecosystems. Beta diversity can be measured between first and second ecosystems, or it can be measured between second or third ecosystems, or it can be measured between first and third ecosystems. In the first ecosystem, there is one zebra, there is one snake, one lion, one elephant, one peacock, one monkey, and one crow. In the first ecosystem. And in the second ecosystem, first we have to look for the common species which are present in the first ecosystem. The common species are monkey and crow. Look, in the second ecosystem, there is a crow and there is a monkey. And then the remaining species are all different. So the common species are taken as a single species. That means monkey and crow. So 2 species are there. And then in the first ecosystem, apart from monkey and crow, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 species are there in the first ecosystem. And apart from monkey and crow, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 different species in second ecosystem. So if we count all these species, the number will be 13. Hence, the beta diversity between first and second ecosystems is 13. Like that, if we count or if you measure the beta diversity between second and third ecosystems, the beta diversity that we'll get is 15. In second and third ecosystems, we have to look for the common species, whether they are present or not. So if we observe these two ecosystems, there are no common species. Hence, in second ecosystem, the species richness is 8. Hence, the alpha biodiversity is 8. And third ecosystem, the species richness is 7 and the alpha diversity is 7. So 8 plus 7, to measure the beta diversity, we have to measure different species between two ecosystems. So between second and third ecosystems, the beta diversity will be 15. Similarly, if we count or if you measure the beta diversity between first and third ecosystems, you will get the beta diversity as 13. Next comes the gamma diversity. It is the measure of total diversity for different ecosystems within a large area or region. It is the complete biodiversity with all species richness for various habitats in a region. Let us understand this perspective with the example that I have given here. You know how to find out the beta diversity of two different ecosystems. So in three ecosystems, there are different species and those species are arranged like this. And for first ecosystem, the different animals are marked, and for second ecosystem also, the animals that are present are marked, and in the third ecosystem also, the animals were marked. And after marking all the animals present in different ecosystems, we have to count their number. So by counting all the different species among the three ecosystems, we will get the gamma diversity. The gamma diversity of these three ecosystems is 19. Like this, gamma diversity is the complete measure of diversities among the ecosystems that are present over a large region. These are some web references you can access for additional information. You can scan the QR codes to watch animated videos on genes and for additional information about species. I hope you have understood this topic very well. And my sincere thanks to APCCE for giving me this great opportunity. Thank you all.